Hello there, players. It's Ed, your DM. Wanted to make a video walking you through how to build a character because I intend to make some pre-made characters on blue sheets so I can hand them out to new players that come in, and that way they can jump right into the game. But I'm going to document the steps that I took to get there. That way you can walk it back and understand how your character is built, and also maybe even make some tweaks and build your own character or rebuild your character however you see fit. Okay? So, today, for the first character, I'm going to keep it very simple. We're going to use Player Handbook 1. Now, I made sure to post a link in the group some time ago to my Google Drive. That gives you access to PDFs of basically all the books I could find. I will be reposting that soon. But, yeah, the PDF looks like this. Of course, you can get a real physical book and follow along. So, Chapter 1 talks about, Chapter 2 talks about how to make characters, how to generate ability scores and alignment, deities, personality, all sorts of stuff. Languages, kind of a big deal on page 25. Yeah, and page 28 or 27 here also talks about, or 28, yeah, 26 talks about how to go about generating the scores. I roll for my stats, my ability scores. Speaking of which, I've already done that, but how it's done is you take 4d6. So that's the dice that you're probably normally used to seeing, 6-sided dice. You roll 4 of them, okay, or 1 4 times, and you drop the lowest score. So if I rolled that, I've got a 4, a 1, a 6, a 3. I'm going to drop the 1, and so the total, if you add that up, is 13. Okay. Anyway, I went ahead and rolled for my stats. You're going to roll 6 times, okay, and that's because there are 6 scores. You have strength, constitution, dexterity, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Okay, I'm going to just write those down because we're probably going to want to allocate those based on what we're building, because certain classes use different abilities. So let's talk about the next very important step, is selecting your race. Okay, in chapter 3 it talks about races. I'm going to go ahead and select Tiefling. Now let me zoom in here. Look, this gray block of text, specifically this right here, is very important. So you're going to want to go ahead and write down your skill bonuses, +2 bluff, +2 stealth, and there's actually a section on your character sheet. Here, let me go over here. Here's your ability scores, and then here has your race features. So I would start writing down this block of text that I mentioned right here. Okay, so let me go back to Tiefling. Alright, so write down +2 bluff, +2 stealth, I would write down blood hunt and +1 racial bonus to attack rolls against bloodied foes. Bloodied simply means that your target has dropped under half of its health. Okay. Fire resistance, you get resist 5 plus 1/2 your level. So at level 1, it's not gonna, you're just gonna be resist 5. But once you get up to level 2, half of 2 is 1. So you'll get resist 6, and so on and so forth. Infernal Wrath, under your second character sheet page, you'll have your powers broken down into at-wills, encounters, dailies, and utilities. You'll write this under encounters. Here, let me show you that. Here's the second page. Here's your powers broken down. Okay, so write Infernal Wrath there. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to determine what job we want. Okay, now I intend to build a warlord, so I'm going to go ahead and move to warlord. That's in chapter 4 here. It's actually the last option. And here again we have this light gray block of text, and that's going to be the most important stuff. Okay, specifically, you'll want to write down. Actually, here, let me go back to the character sheet here. Right under race features, you have class features. So I would start writing here for this stuff. Okay, so let's go back to Warlord. So you'll want to write +1 fortitude, +1 will. Okay, we'll deal with hit points in a moment, but you could write that down if you wanted. And that's it for right now. Now, if you go a little bit farther into a class entry, it gives you a couple templates to follow. Tactical Warlord is more like in combat, you're moving people around, and you know, it has more to do with the actual combat, whereas Inspiring is more about buffing your allies. Okay, so I'm going to build more of an Inspiring Warlord because we've been a little short on healing and whatnot. So let me, and I'm going to just copy this one for one. This block of text tells you that strength is what your attack powers run off of, and then charisma is your second most important, and then intelligence third. Okay, gives you a suggested feat, suggested skills, at will, so on and so forth. And this, of course, is if you're building a level 1 character. So I'm literally just going to copy all of this down. So on feats, let's do. Feats are over here. Skills are over here, and so on and so forth. If you're taking a trained skill, you just mark a check mark there, or put a 5, because trained just means that you get 5 towards that skill. Oh, thanks, phone. I needed that. So yeah, let's go back to Warlord. Okay. Trained skills, it says, from the class skill list below, choose 4. There's not a ton to choose from, but specifically this template recommends these skills. So I'm going to go ahead and write those down. So in the skills, I'm going to check mark the trained for athletics, diplomacy, heal, and history. So check. Diplomacy, check. History, check. And heal, check. Awesome. And I might remind you that since we're doing Tiefling, you get +2 bluff and +2 stealth as well. So I'm going to to the right of the trained boxes is a miscellaneous. I'll put the 2s there under bluff and under stealth. Okay. Now, if you look to the left of those check boxes, you have ability modifier plus half level. So let's talk about ability modifiers. Okay, let's go back to the character sheet. Now the scores I rolled are a little bit above average. I got 15, 10, 11, 10, 12, and 15. And the template that we're following says strength is most important, so I put 15 there. And charisma is second most, so I put 15 there. And then intelligence got the 12. And then I put 11 in constitution, because that gives you hit points. And then the 10s ended up in dexterity and wisdom. Then I looked down at my racial features. Tiefling gives you a +2 to your intelligence and +2 to your charisma. So I buffed the 12 in intelligence up to 14, and the 15 on charisma goes up to 17. Okay? So those I wrote down there. Then for your ability modifier, you're going to take the score, subtract 10, and divide by 2. So my strength, which is a 15, subtract 10, that's 5, divide by 2, and you round down to the nearest whole number. Okay, so a 15 would be a 2 ability modifier. Okay, now right here it says mod plus half level. That's this score plus half your level. Now half of 1, since we're rounding down, is 0. So this 2 here would be a 2. But once I go up to level 2, then this would add 1. So that would be 3, and so on and so forth. Okay? That's important because this score is going to translate down here as well, ability modifier plus half level. Okay, so knowing that, let's take these numbers once we've calculated them. After bumping up the skills based on my race and whatnot, my strength ended up modifier was 2, constitution was 0, dex is 0, intelligence 2, wisdom 0, and charisma 3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill out these ability modifier plus half level all the way down for the related skills. So my dexterity being a 0, I'm going to put a 0 there. Okay, and so on and so forth all the way down. So dexterity 0 and 0 and 0. I usually just find a skill and then go all the way down, checking off all the zeros or all the dexterities. Then next arcana is intelligence based, and my intelligence mod is 2. So 2, history is intelligence, so 2, religion is intelligence, 2 there. Next is strength. Strength is a 2, so I'm going to write 2 there. Okay. And bluff is charisma, that's a 3. 3, 3, 3. If you're looking at this, you'll notice that charisma and wisdom are the most important skills, important ability scores for skills. So yeah, wisdom being a 0 is not particularly awesome, but there you go. And last but not least, endurance is based on con, and my con modifier is 0. Okay, now that's done. Normally I would say just add up these miscellaneous bonuses, train skills, so 5, and your ability plus half mod, and the result will go over here. However, we haven't worked out what armor I'm wearing, and that can influence your acrobatics, athletics, and these ones that don't say NA. Specifically if you're wearing heavier armor. Okay, so let's go back to Warlord. Here we go. Speaking of which, let's work out our hit points here. That's 12 plus your constitution score, not your modifier, your score. So at first level, my constitution score, I put an 11 in. So 12 plus 11 is 23. So under max hit points, I put that there. Hit points gained per level is 5, which I would just make that over to the left of your hit points. Here's your hit points. So I put 23 here. I'm going to put plus 5 over here. Okay. Bloodied is half of 23, which again, since we're rounding down, is going to be 11. Half of that is your surge value right here. And your surges per day is dictated by your class. It's 7 plus your constitution modifier. Now my modifier is 0, so I'm just going to put 7 there. Okay, and that box below there says current hit points. Right now it's assumed we're at full health, so I'm going to put 23. Okay, so oh, by the way, let's see here. Oh, what am I doing? Over here on the left, you notice how it mentions resistances? That's where you'd put your resist 5. Fire, resist 5 fire. So 5 plus, well, I would just say 5 for right now. 5 fire resist. Awesome. Yeah, this is meant to be fluid. This is like if you took a second wind and you want to mark that down so you keep track of it. There you go. If someone gave you temporary hit points, which is not quite healing you, but instead it basically gives you like a shield, you would write down how many of those you have, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's go back to Warlord. Now, after that, you'll want to work out your feats. This suggests inspired recovery. So So I'm going to write that down. If I didn't already, which I didn't, because I am silly. Took the suggested skills, check. At will powers goes on that second sheet. You remember when we wrote down Infernal Wrath? Well, above there is your at will powers. So I'm going to write down Commander Strike and Furious Smash. Okay, suggested encounter, guarding attack. And suggested daily, bastion of defense. So what am I talking about? Well, oh, by the way, let's double check this stuff. Class features. You and each ally within 10 squares who can see you gain a +2 power bonus to initiative. So you might want to write that down under your class features on the first page of on your first character page under class features. So allies within 10 and can see you and hear you get +2 to initiative. Okay, and commanding presence. And you choose one of these. I imagine you'd want the inspiring presence. In fact, I think you... Yeah, I know some of the powers are based upon which one of these you go for. Choose one of the following 2 benefits. Inspiring presence. When an ally who can see you spends an action point to take an extra action, that ally also regains lost hit points. So you just automatically heal them. And then tactical. When an ally you can see spends an action point to make an extra attack, the ally gains a bonus to the attack roll. Okay? You can see how one would lend itself towards the tactical warlord and one would lend itself towards the inspiring. So under class features, I'm going to write inspiring presence. Okay. And just because that's a little wordy, I would just write inspiring presence and then refer back to it if I don't quite remember what that does. Okay. Let's see here. So let's look at what we do here. Here's your inspiring word. This is once per encounter. Reds are encounter, green is at will, and gray is daily. That's basically broken down to balance things. At wills you can use over and over and over. Encounter is once per encounter, once per fight, basically. And then once per day is the really powerful stuff. Okay? I'll leave you to read what those do. Okay, just to shorten this video, but suffice to say, these are based upon specific stats and stuff. For example, strength, and yeah, and as a result, that's why we put our high stats in those related modifiers. Okay, so let's look at armor and weapons now. Okay, armor proficiencies, we can wear cloth, leather, hide, chainmail, and we can also use light shields. Okay, weapons, simple and military melee and simple ranged. So let's go down to, oh, by the way, feats, while I'm looking at it, here's your feats. Chapter 6. Feats are basically like passive bonuses. Okay, they are always there. Now some of them are more conditional, but yeah, absolutely. Here's an inspired recovery. That's the recommended feat, and what it does is it grants an ally a saving throw with your charisma modifier bonus. That's not worded very well there, but that's what it does. Here we go. Inspired. What was that? Inspired recovery. Yeah. Warlord. And you have to have taken the Inspiring Presence class feature. When an ally sees you, spends an action point to gain an extra standard action, which, as you recall, because of Inspiring Presence, they also get health from that. So when they do that, that ally can roll a saving throw as a free action, adding the Warlord's Charisma modifier to the roll. So remember that block of text said charisma, like a lot of your skills are going to be based off of charisma? Yeah, that's why. Okay. Anyway, moving on down to equipment, chapter 7. Let's look at that. Now, armor, we can go all the way up to chain. So you get cloth, it's basically like no armor. Leather armor, light armor. Hide is light, chain, heavy. Okay. I tend to, since the Inspiring Warlord doesn't necessarily have to be right up in their face tanking, we could go hide armor. Here's the armor bonus. So if you're proficient and you're wearing it, it gives you this bonus to your armor class. We're not going to worry about enhancement bonuses right now, but that adds to your defense. And then check on your skills. For example, acrobatics, that space where it has a space for armor penalty, that's where that would go. So you take a hit to your acrobatics checks, for example, and athletics checks if you wear chainmail or if you wear hide. Now, I think I'm going to go for chainmail. Gives a nice bonus there, and also, like, you actually don't get a bigger penalty anyway, so let's do that. Okay, so on the second page of your character sheet, to the right of your powers, it says magic items. I just consider this items because it lays out weapon, armor, arms, feet, so on and so forth. So I just write what armor I'm wearing there under armor. So I'm going to put chainmail. Okay. And we'll just make a note that the armor bonus there is 6. Okay, here, let me show you. Down on the second page, here's armor, and might want to just under your armor / ability class number, put 6 there. Okay. All right, so let's see. We were here. Armor types and shields, and we can use a light shield, so might as well do that too. So I think I'll put that under arms, I guess, for right now. Say light shield. Now the Warlord can only use light shields, not heavy shields, but it adds to your armor bonus. Okay, so under AC, the chainmail provides a 6, the shield provides an additional 1, so that'll be a 7. Nice. Okay, and down on the skills, let's go ahead and add that armor penalty. -1, -1, -1, -1, and -1. Yeah, light shield doesn't actually have a check bonus, or a check penalty. Alright, great. So, moving on, let's talk about weapons. You can do simple or melee weapons. Here's your simples, and here's your military. Yeah, a simple or military melee. Now, since we're using a shield, it has to be a one-handed melee. I'm going to go for just a simple mace. It's 1d8. Okay. So under weapon, mace. Okay. Now, where I would put that? let me see here. Come back down to the character sheet. Under your damage workspace, I would put like mace and 1d8 here. And also up here on your attack workspace, put mace and look for proficiency. That's right here. And specifically, let's go back to that weapons table. The mace is a +2 proficiency, so I'd put 2 there. So mace, 2 on proficiency, and 1d8. Now, if you decided to choose a simple ranged weapon as well, which most characters would take, like a crossbow or a sling, go ahead and add that in. I'm going to go ahead and skip that for right now. And select a adventurers pack if you want. It's different odd and ends like rope and sleeping bag and water skins, things like that. If you want it broken down, like you can actually piece it out if you want. This the equipment section actually breaks down how much a level 1 character normally has to spend. And so that's pretty much that for a level 1 character. So now let's go back to the character sheet and finish up the numbers. Okay? So, character name, fill that in. Level 1, class, Warlord. We're not doing Paragon or Epic yet. Race, Tiefling. Size, medium. Pick an age, pick a gender, pick a height, so on and so forth. Initiative. Initiative is your dexterity modifier, which for me is 0, plus half level, which is 0, and do you get any bonuses to initiative? Well, it says allies within 10 of you that can see and hear you, plus 2 initiative. I believe that does include you. So, your initiative is 2 for this character. Well, this character's initiative. Okay? Now, armor class. Let's work that out. Here it says, here, let me zoom in. Here it says 10 plus half level. For right now, at level 1, that's just going to be 10. Your armor gives you a +6. Your light shield gives you a +1, so armor ability is 7. Okay, class. Do you have any class bonuses to armor class? No, you do not. Okay, no feats, no miscellaneous that gives you any buffs or anything. So your armor class is going to be 17. Okay, let's go down to fortitude. You see this gray behind here, that how it kind of goes through strength and con and funnels into fort? You take the highest ability modifier, and that goes into your ability score for this defense. Okay, so we have 10 plus half level, so that's 10. The higher of strength or con mod, which in this case is a 2 in strength. We also have a class bonus on fortitude of 1, and we didn't take any feats or enhancements to improve our fortitude, so our fortitude is 13. Reflex, same thing. Dexterity, intelligence funnels into reflex, so whichever one's higher, to go with that. For me, it's intelligence. So 10 plus half level, that's going to be 10. The intelligence modifier is going to be 2. We don't get any bonuses to our reflex, so, and no feats or anything that helps that, so our reflex skill is going to be 12. Last but not least, wisdom and charisma funnel into will, so 10 plus half level, 10. Charisma modifier is 3, so I'm going to write that down because it's higher than wisdom. And we get a class bonus of 1 against will saves, we get 1 for will, rather, and that's about it. So our will defense is 14. Okay. On action point, just give yourself 1 to start out with. Up here on speed, you have your base speed, which for a tiefling is 6. Then you have an armor penalty of -1, and you have nothing else that improves your speed. So this warlord's speed is 5. Okay. Your passive insight is you take your insight score down here and you add 10. Okay. An actual insight skill check, you roll a d20 and you add that score to the d20 roll. Okay, and that's you're actually trying to figure out if this person's lying to you or what this person's about. Passive insight is literally just you can pick up on, without trying to, you pick up on this person being full of crap or whatever. Okay, so let's come down here and look at our scores here. Dexterity. Well, hold on. I forgot to fill these out, so let me do that real quick. 5, 8, 0, -1. Wow, my endurance is -1. That is not good. 5, 7. Insight. My insight is a 0 right now, so my passive insight is going to be a 10 because it's 10 plus 0. Awesome. Passive perception. My wisdom. My perception is a 0, so that also is going to be a flat 10. That's this is very different from a lot of characters that I build, which tend to be what we call skill monkeys. I usually go heavy on skills, and yeah, anyway, notwithstanding. So now if we come down here, special senses, low light vision goes there because we're a tiefling. And then down here, when you want to attack something, you roll a d20 and you add that score to this number, basically. And if it hits, awesome. Then if it hits, you work out the damage. Okay, so we went ahead and wrote mace here. Okay, the proficiency bonus for mace is 2. Okay, now we're going to add half level, which is 0. So I'm going to write 0 there. The related ability score, or ability modifier rather, for using a mace is strength. Any melee attack for the most part is going to be strength based. So let's go ahead and add, my strength modifier is 2, so I'm going to add 2 there. We don't get any bonuses for from our class for attacking. We have no magic weapons or anything that would improve our attack. So our plus to attack is going to be 4 with the mace. Okay, now down here I also wrote mace, and the damage die for that is a d8, so an 8-sided die. Okay, so I wrote d8 here, and then here we put in the associated ability score, which is going to be strength again, so 2. We don't get any bonuses from feats or enhancements or anything, so it's basically that right next to d8 I would put plus 2. d8 plus 2 is your damage. Okay? And the reason they provide these is if there's a particular attack that's going to be your go-to attack, you can work that out ahead of time. It doesn't just have to be your basic attack. In fact, if you want to work out basic attacks down here, that's what this is for. So that's pretty much your character. I mean, you for languages, I'm going to select Common and Supernal. Now, a lot of people would expect a tiefling to speak Abyssal, but that's demons specifically. Devils, which Odd is a devil, not a demon, speak Supernal, just like angels. So it would make sense then if they're descended from that, and also, you know, if they pray or anything like that, maybe they learned Supernal. Anyway, so the rest of this is literally just filling out your equipment and your background, role-playing opportunities and role-playing characteristics. So I'll go ahead and fill that out, but that's primarily going to be worked out through how you play the character. So that done, let's talk about how to level up, okay? Because that's very important. In fact, I even bookmarked the page where talk about gaining levels. Okay, it breaks it down step by step. What needs to go up and what order to do it in, and we're pretty much going to follow that. Okay, and there's a lovely little table here on page 29 that breaks down, like, as you go from level 1 to 2, you gain a utility power and a feat. So you'll have 2 feats known and this many spells. And also how much experience you need for that 3rd level, so on and so forth. So we're going to do that one at a time. Okay? So if you look up in here and you go step by step, it's a good way to do that. And the class section also reiterates that. So let's look at this. When you level up, so we're going to go from level 1 to level 2. And I take this step by step simply because it's easy to skip a step and you don't want to leave any power on the table for your character and end up with an underpowered character. Okay, so first thing, hit points per level gained, 5. So let's go ahead and take that 23 up to 28. Woo! We are tankier. And since your bloodied is half that, that's going to go up as well. And your surge value. Okay, so bloodied is now 14. And surge value is going to be 7. Awesome. Okay, also, remember, so much of this character sheet is based on half level. At even levels, you'll get a power bump because suddenly you'll get 1 point from it being an even level. Okay, so these half level things, half level is suddenly going to be a 1. So my initiative goes up, for example, and this mod per half level is going to bump everything up by 1. So mod plus half level 3. 1, 1, 3, 1, 4. Super duper. And in defense, all of this 10 plus half level is going to go up. And in turn, that's going to bump up your defenses, armor class, so on and so forth. So armor class is 18 now. Awesome. And down in your skills, all of those are ability mod plus half level, so those are going to go up as well. Okay, so doing that, let's go back to that lovely table. It also says gain 1 utility power and a feat. All right, so let's go back to Warlord then, because that's where your powers are broken down. And if we scroll down past the level 1 stuff, it says level 2 utility exploits. So I'm going to go ahead and select Aid the Injured. Okay, and as far as feats, that's broken down into chapter 6. So I'm going to types of feats. I'm going to go down here. There's actually another table that makes it easy to find stuff. And let's see. What's a good one? We could go for alertness. No combat advantage and +2 to perception, which since our wisdom score is not great, that could be good. So I'm going to write alertness. So down on perception, I'm going to put a 2 in the miscellaneous bonus. And no combat advantage when surprised. So if you're surprised if someone gets the drop on you, you don't grant combat advantage. They don't get a bonus to hit you. Okay? So that's leveling up to level 2, and you can go back to that table and just go down to level 3 and do the same thing. Improve your hit points and gain an encounter power. Then to level 4, you bump up 2 of your ability scores and you gain a feat. Okay? Then level 5, you gain a daily attack power, and then finally level 6, which is where our party is at right now, you gain 1 utility power again, and you gain a feat. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and finish filling this out, and I'll have the finished product for you guys to look at next session. So I hope that's been helpful for you, and I'll see you next game.